solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
What is your name?
John Grant Whitfield.
And what is your occupation?
I am the president of the Whitfield National Bank.
And how are you related to the late Bjorn Faulkner?
How's his father-in-law?
Now, it is obvious, Mr. Whitfield, that you are able to pass judgment on current financial matters. Could you tell us the state of Mr. Faulkner's enterprises at the time preceding his death?
I shall say it was desperate, but not hopeless. My bank made a loan of $25 million in an effort to save his enterprise, but needless to say, that money's gone.
Now, what prompted this loan?
I had a feeling of civic duty. Realizing the lives of small investors that the crash would bring, I considered it my duty to prevent that.
Now, Mr. Whitfield, would you consider it possible that you would have risked such a considerable sum of money into an enterprise hopelessly destined to crash?
Absolutely not. I had full confidence that his enterprise would have survived had Faulkner lived.
He therefore had no reason to commit suicide as far as his money was concerned.
He had every reason to remain alive.
Now, Mr. Whitfield, do you happen to know Mr. Faulkner's happiness in relation to your daughter?
Mr. Flint, I'd like to state that I consider the family the most important aspects in our lives. You therefore will believe me when I state that my daughter had found perfect happiness with Mr. Faulkner.
And what was your opinion of Mr. Faulkner?
He had qualities of which I did not approve of. We were as different as two humans could be. I believed in one duty above all, but he believed in nothing but his own pleasure.
Now, Mr. Whitfield, in your formal opinion, do you consider it possible that Bjorn Faulkner committed suicide?
I consider it absolutely impossible.
Thank you, Mr. Whitfield. That is all.
Mr. Whitfield, were you very fond of your son-in-law?
Yes.
And you never disagreed with him? Never lost your temper in a quarrel?
Miss Stevens, I never lose my temper.
If my memory serves me right, there was some trouble at the time you decided to make that stupendous loan to Mr. Faulkner. Something said to the effect that you denied making the loan.
Purely a misunderstanding, although there was a somewhat unethical attempt to hasten that loan, which I granted gladly for my daughter's sake.
Now, you said your fortune was badly damaged by the Faulkner crash.
Correct.
And your financial situation is rather strained at present.
Yes.
Then how are you able to offer a $50,000 reward for the arrest and conviction of Guts Reagan?
Objection. What does this have to do with the case?
Your Honor, I would like the privilege of explaining this.
Very well.
The gentleman commonly known as Guts Reagan is a notorious criminal. I offered such a reward to make his conviction and arrest possible, but I agree with Mr. Flint. This has nothing to do with the case.
Can you tell us why you left for California in such a hurry before the beginning of this trial?
I think the answer is obvious. My daughter was struck by the recent tragedy. I hastened to her to save her health and perhaps her life.
You love your daughter profoundly.
Yes,
You have always made it a point that her every wish should be granted.
I can proudly say yes.
When she, or you, desires anything, you don't stop at the price, do you?
We don't have to.
Then you would refuse to buy her the man she wanted.
Your Honor.
Miss Stevens!
You wouldn't stop if it took your entire fortune to break the first unbreakable man you'd ever met.
Your Honor, we object.
Objection sustained.
Are you going to tell me, Mr. Whitfield, that your fortune had nothing to do with Mr. Faulkner dismissing Miss Andre? That no ultimatum was delivered to him?
You are quite mistaken in your intuitions. My daughter was no more jealous of Miss Andre than she was of Mr. Faulkner's soiled underpants. All men have one time or another.
I'd be careful with statements such as these, Mr. Whitfield. Just remember that your daughter paid for what Karen Andre got free.
Why, you dead goddamn impudence! Do you know who I am? Do I crush you like a cockroach if I crushed so many before?
That is precisely what I wanted to prove. Thank you. That is all, Mr. Whitfield.
Your Honor, we ask that the defense's outrageous statement be stricken out.
The remark may go out.
The people rest.
Move that the case be dismissed for lack of evidence.
Denied, Miss Stevens.
Exception. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we are here to decide the fate of a woman. But I'll ask